Welcome. This is going to be a review of my one of my recent purchases. It's a Stuhrling 833 Depth Master Heritage watch. There are two models out there, just to be confused, the 883 and the 883 Heritage, and I'll cover through the differences later. And I'll go through it quickly now. So for those who don't know, I'm not going to talk about Stuhrling quite a lot. They're a fairly newish brand. I think late 90s, early sort of 2000s they've been running for. They're the sort of brand that have been out there selling watches straight over the internet, straight to the sort of customer. So their concept is cutting out the middleman, providing sort of luxury watches at much cheaper prices because you don't pay all the markup values. They sort of market this watch as a sort of £2,000 dive watch. But it roughly cost me with import to the UK about 500 quid, give or take. So that's what they market it as. I said, look into it. There's some good points about the brand. I think there's like a middle level company operating that sort of process. Right, I'll start with the box now. Don't buy watches for the box, is my opinion, but it's always nice to start with there. So, yeah, fairly simple. This is the main box itself. Opens up. In it, you can see you get a little sort of cleaning cloth. I think that's the warranty card. Yeah, that's the warranty card. And then the actual, obviously, main content. Straight out of the box, probably just lights on there. You can see I bought a blue dial, black bezel model. The dial is what's striking, and when I review it, the dial is the winning aspect of this box. So, moving it away. I'll go through it to start with, start on the outside and work from there. I'll start probably with the dullest bit to start with, the bracelet and the sort of clasp mechanism. It's a stainless steel bracelet. The clasp bit at the back has got Stuhrling original written onto it, and it's got the pinch clasp. It's one thing, the clasp is actually quite good. If I push just one in, it won't open. If I just squeeze it, both need to be in for it to open. It's got like a single pin, so you can probably see there. That locks into the hole there. This is one of the only two differences between this model, the Heritage, and the 833 Depth Master General one. The other one has a sort of lockdown clasp that you sort of prise open. This has the pinch clasp. I think this looks nicer, but I'll be honest, if I was a diver, I would probably be wanting something that's secure, that you've actually got prise open. Other than that, it's fully adjustable. You've got the little links in there. And if you need to, you can obviously move it along there for a bit of finer tweaking. That's the class. Not much else to say about the bracelet aspect in the class. Right, so we'll start with the actual watch then. That's what we're here to do. You can probably see now the dial's slightly better in these lights. It does reflect around. It's quite a heavy watch. You can see on the wrist size, it's fairly average side. You wouldn't, if you had small wrists, it would probably look a little bit overpowered on it. The thickness, it's got a case back there. I'll cover the case in the view, and you can see it does sit a little bit proud. And one thing I do like is it's got this sort of knurls here, so that actually you can't accidentally get to the dial. I suppose it is a dive watch again, you want that quite protected. It's a screw-in dial as part of the sort of wall resistance to it. That's quite a nice function. It also means it doesn't quite dig into your wrist when you wear it. Starting around then with the bezel, it does have a unidirectional bezel, 120 clicks, so 2 per second. And obviously you can see here, it's got the sort of countdown minutes for the 15 minute. It doesn't have them for every minute. And I think from reading my understanding is that means it won't conform to the ISO standard for divers. So where it might say professional divers, etc., etc., I don't think this is recognised under the ISO. I think it's 6245 or 6425 as a certified diver watch. I have emailed Stuhrling to ask that question. They've yet to reply. But from looking at it from my point of view, I think that would be the case it is. The bezel is good quality. It's stiff. You'd want it stiff. If you were diving, you don't want it to be moved loose around. It very positive. You've got to physically grip it, turn it. If you just catch it, it won't turn. It's got to be a physical grip and turn. Again, if you're diving, I guess that's probably key. You want it to make sure it won't turn by itself. The other main reason, the difference between this and the 883 model normally, is the colour scheme. They do 4 models in the Heritage. Some have like this bit in orange, some of it different colours, some of it all grey, sort of stainless matching the watch. This one I chose because I liked the fact it was black dial, blue face. I didn't like the orange bit. And the regular 883 model tends to be matching dial and face. So the only two differences I can see between the 883 and the 883 Heritage are literally the dial bezel combination and the clasp system. There's about £20-30 difference between the two models, so I guess it's mainly going to be aesthetics, which one you prefer. Moving them around, you can probably see the glass is slightly flush of that. It's a synthetic sapphire crystal. You know, I've had this for a couple of months, no damage to it. It feels solid. It feels like it's fairly robust. No issues there really. Probably the next part then is start looking at the inside of it. So you can read through the top of the bottom here. Top bar is obviously the Stuhrling original. Then it goes on to the Depth Master Heritage. That's obviously telling you the brand model rather than Depth Master 883. Swiss automatic movement. I'll cover the movement it's got inside in a second. And the professional diver 200 meter. Now that's a little bit misleading. I said I don't believe this is under the ISO. You can use the word divers and then the depth. I think has to meet certain criteria. It has the most parts of it. It has a bezel. It has the rating to more than 100 meters. Has a screw down system, meets a lot of the requirements. Luminosity, one of the things they've got to have is visible at 25 metres. The top bit there is luminous, all the points on the dial inside are luminous, and the hands and the second hand are all luminous. Not the best quality of luminosity, I have to say, compared to other watches. It isn't the best luminosity, so I can say about that. It takes a bit of time to charge it up and it loses it. I wouldn't want to dive in much past an hour with the luminosity. Other watches I own just seem to sniff the sun and stay luminous for a lot longer. So it is one thing to bear in mind if you are a keen diver using it as a dive watch. But from the dive spec, it meets the spec. I just don't think it meets the ISO spec. But that's not a bad thing. Not all watches do. So there, going under. So we talk about and then probably the main thing I said really is the dial. So I'm hoping that you can see the sort of light adjustment to it. It's a real deep blue dial, but it changes with the light very simply. It's the key part of this watch. For me, it's a bit that makes it as a standout watch and worthwhile buying. It does look a really beautiful colour. People have seen it and have said to me that's a good looking watch. They love that deep blue face. They love the fact it changes around with the light on it. So turning it over, that's the front part of it done. As I said, this dial, to adjust it, you have to wind it out and you'll feel it click. Once it's clicked, you can pull it. You can then do your adjustment. So there's the date, which I have to go back and do a bit later now, and then pull it a bit further, and you can obviously do your time. And you push it back in, and then you wind it. Sorry, if I go the right way. There we are. You wind it in, and it locks there. I'll adjust all the settings later. That obviously helps keep it waterproof. So that's that part of it. Right, I'll turn it over. Hopefully you can get a look at the back piece of it. A couple of bit of writings on, like a little wave pattern makes it look nice. It's obviously got the Stuhrling original. It's then got the Christina crystal, Cristeria crystal. So that's telling you the front bit is that synthetic crystal. Move it around a bit further. Swiss automatic movement, and in fact it's all partly then stainless steel and water resistant 200 meters, and you can see the mechanism through the back there. The mechanism itself, this is where again a little bit. It's a seagull. If you do the research online, they call it the 8. What it is now, but it's a seagull movement, which obviously is predominantly produced sort of the China Hong Kong area. They clearly then ship enough of it over to Switzerland to meet the criteria. I think it's 50-60% of the time spent has got to be in Swiss for it to be classified as a Swiss movement. So a lot of people will complain saying, oh, well, it's a Chinese movement. The seagull movement isn't a bad movement. A lot of stuff online, read up about the seagull movements. They're good, fairly quality, hold the time well. And actually a lot of watches, brands buy stuff and just do the bare minimum to get the Swiss brand name on it. You can see as I move it round, the sort of plate, it's not frictionless. It does sometimes sort of stick and hold a little bit. Other watches seem to be like, I only seem to just glide on ice essentially when they move around. This thing, as you can see there, it takes a time before it drops down. I will say it's very quiet. Probably can't hear it. Compared to other automatic watches I've got, it's actually a lot quieter. So I'll give it that one. It's got the 18 joules attached to it. You know, there's a lot misnomer about, you know, more joules makes it better. Doesn't make it better. It just is what it is. It's what's needed for it to do it. And you can see a little bit there of more of the inner workings inside of it. But yeah, it's advanced. Wrist-wise, I wear mine on my right. I know people shouldn't because I'm right-handed, but it's just how I wear it. You can see how it kind of fits on the wrist. As I said there, enough of the back that bail that doesn't dig into my wrist. And there, I'm a 6'4" bloke, so you can see the sizing of it. It fits quite nicely. Right, so that's enough information around it. My reviews of it. Is it worth the money you pay for it? I said, personally, yes. I think the quality of the watch is there. It feels solid. It looks solid. Time-wise, I'm probably losing 1 to 2 seconds a day, which is not horrific. You know, I ran out my time anyway, so for me, it's more than good enough for me to, you know, tell the time with. I adjust it probably at the end of the week. It works fine from that. The second hand, I like the way the second hand moves. It's quite a smooth movement. So it's a really silent automatic watch. And the standout feature for me was that blue dial. It was a good looking dial. It catches eyes. People I've shown it to look at it and are literally generally like, oh, I get impressed. You know, it's clearly a bit of a homage to like a Rolex Submariner, which isn't a bad thing. The downsides to it, I said the luminosity isn't great. If you are a diver and you're wanting it for that reason, I would probably be careful with that. I don't think it's a great luminosity. And I said, for me, if I was a diver, I'd probably want a different clasp, bracelet sort of mechanism. I don't think that's the best. I think the ones that lock in would be better. So I guess if you're choosing that and you're an actual diver, probably the 883 model, the standard model, is probably better for that clasp. The rest of it is down to your colour systems. So there you go. I hope you like it. I've been really pleased with it. I've been wearing it for about 3 months now. I've not seen anyone review the Heritage model, hence why I put this video on. Hope you like it. Thanks. And then I'll probably review a couple of other watches whilst this coronavirus is going on, so I've got nothing else to do with my time. And thanks for watching.